Hello, my name is Izzy Samore, and today I'm presenting my advocacy project on Gaza and immigration justice. As an educator and future school leader, I believe that schools and universities should be a safe spaces for all students, where freedom of speech is protected and immigrant students feel supported. Unfortunately, current policies and global conflicts threaten these rights. My advocacy focuses on addressing these injustices through education, activism, and policy awareness. My passion for this advocacy stems from my experience in education and my personal values. I work with young students and plan to take on leadership roles in the school system where I can influence policies and create safe and inclusive learning environments. However, I know that advocacy comes with challenges. Navigating bureaucratic systems and handling opposition requires persistence and strategic planning. Despite these challenges, I believe it is our duty as educators to speak out for justice and ensure that all students have a voice. Two critical issues are at the center of my advocacy: the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and immigration justice in the U.S. These issues are deeply connected, as both involved forced displacement, human rights violations, and systematic oppression. The ongoing attacks on Gaza have led to massive civilian casualties, forced displacement, and severe humanitarian crisis. The U.S. government has provided over $20 billion in military aid to Israel, fueling this violence. This is from the Human Rights Watch article and website. This affects students in the U.S., especially Palestinians, Muslims, and Arab students who face increased surveillance, discrimination, and suppression of their activism. For immigration justice, similarly, immigrant students, especially those that are from Arab, Muslim, and marginalized backgrounds, face systematic barriers in education. Policies like the Trump era Muslim ban and aggressive deportation laws currently have created fear among immigrant communities. Students have been arrested and targeted simply for speaking out and seen with recent campus protests, and that is from the ACLU. I considered multiple advocacy areas, including educational equity and school funding, but I've chosen Gaza and immigration justice both for urgent humanitarian issues. Gaza is facing severe human rights violations, including forced displacement, attacks on civilians, and systematic oppression. At the same time, immigration injustices here in the U.S. continue, with immigrant students like Mohammed Khalil being targeted by ICE recently. I chose this area because I work in education, and as a future educator, I believe campuses and universities should be a safe spaces for all students, where their voices matter, especially when it comes to freedom of speech and protecting immigrant students. This issue is personal to me because it aligns with my commitment to advocating for human rights and education. I believe that addressing these issues in the context of education is crucial for creating a more inclusive society. If students fear deportation, arrest, or discrimination, we are failing in our role as educators. This issue is not just political, it's a matter of human rights and educational justice. My research explored both educational equity and Gaza immigration justice. While both focus on dismantling systematic barriers, educational equity ensures that every student, regardless of race, income, or background, has access to high quality inclusive education. Systematic barriers such as funding disparities, racial segregation, and school to prison pipeline continue to hinder equitable access to education. According to the American Civil Liberties Union article, this pipeline reflects a system that values incarceration over education, reinforcing systematic inequalities. I found that Gaza and immigration justice advocacy has an immediate pressing need right now. Studies show that immigrant students face higher dropout rates, mental health struggles, and institutional neglect from the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee. Meanwhile, university students advocating for Palestinian rights are being suspended, even expelled, harassed, and also even arrested. If we don't act now, we risk creating an education system where freedom of speech and student safety no longer exist. Um, What I propose doing is address these advocacy actions. Campus advocacy programs create support groups and legal aid resources for Palestinian and immigrant students facing discrimination. Policy awareness workshops educate students and faculty on the impact of U.S. policies on Gaza and other immigration through interactive workshops. Public awareness campaigns use social media and storytelling to amplify student voices and counter misinformation. Organization I will partner with are Students for Justice in Palestine, a student-led movement advocating for Palestinian rights. American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee works to protect civil rights and challenge racial discriminations and more of the legal support. Jewish Voice for Peace, a Jewish-led organization fighting for Palestinian rights and opposing Zionism. These organizations provide educational resources, legal support, and advocacy networks to help protect students and push for policy changes. Advocating for Gaza and immigration justice is not without resistance. Potential challenges definitely include university administrations and government officials. Some schools ban pro-Palestine groups or punish student activists, as we've seen currently at campuses right now at universities. Pro-Israel lobby groups, organizations like AIPAC actively work to silence criticism of Israeli policies. Anti-immigration policymakers, lawmakers pushing for stricter immigration laws may try to block advocacy efforts. Gaza and immigration justice advocacy directly affects the future of education by shaping campus policies, protecting academic freedom, and fostering inclusive learning spaces. When students fear deportation, arrest, or surveillance, they are less likely to engage in learning and advocacy. From the research from American University, they highlight that inclusive education fosters critical thinking and global awareness. If we fail to protect students' rights, we risk turning educational institutions into spaces of fear rather than learning. Advocacy ensures that education remains a tool for justice, empowerment, and change. In conclusion, advocacy for Gaza and immigration justice is essential to protecting students' rights and ensuring that education remains a space for free thought and activism. Through partnerships with SJP, ADC, and JVP, I will support campus programs, policy workshops, and public campaigns to educate and empower students. This work extends beyond schools. It is about building a society where justice is prioritized. Advocacy requires persistence, education, and collaboration and building. And I am committed to using my role in education to create real, lasting change. Thank you so much.